So, lads, story time. We're going to tell you a story about the driving tests in Ireland. In Ireland. So, Kelsey had 2 driving tests. The first one she failed, which was completely understandable. But it wasn't understandable because she didn't get the information she needed as to why she failed. When we looked at her score sheet was a very good score sheet, and her driving instructor couldn't make sense of it. But basically, on the day, she had an instructor that she felt was quite aggressive.
Yeah.
And she didn't feel comfortable with him. His first language wasn't English, and sometimes, we can get that mixed up, because the Irish are so laid back and then we think that somebody's shouting when they may not be shouting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
But this man was shouting.
This man was shouting.
This man was shouting. It's like I know how people talk. This was not talking. This was shouting at me and getting very aggressive with me.
Okay.
So
So the tester told her turn left.
But there was 2 lefts. So there was an estate. We'll say there. So there's an estate here. My car was there, and then there was an estate there. So I obviously drove into that left, and he started shouting at me, saying, "I didn't tell you to turn that way." He was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He kept shouting at me, saying, "What are you doing?" And he was so aggressive, lifting his hands up the whole lot, and just being like that, and and he was doing that, and then I had to do my reverse on the corner. Then after that, obviously I failed it. Because obviously I
her nerves are at her.
Yeah, so it's it's like trying to do a reverse around the corner with a man that was so aggressive to you seconds before, and
then throughout the test he was
like that the whole time, and it's like he would be like, turn right, and I'd show his hand at right or whatever, and then when he got out of the car, then it was like he rented a test centre, he didn't walk with me, but anyway, yeah, and then he failed me, and my driving test was not a bad driving test. I only got 2 grade 2s and 1 grade 3.
But he didn't tell you what you failed at.
But the grade 3 came from my reverse on the corner, because my reverse on the corner was not a reverse on the corner. It was like a straight reverse. I couldn't reverse properly because obviously I was so anxious from a man shouting at me and raising his voice the whole lot. And yeah, but then he couldn't really tell me what I failed on.
He didn't even attempt to tell you what you failed. No. Just handed you the paperwork.
Handed the paper, got up, and then I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how to get out of the room.
So when she came home then, she told me this, and she was quite upset, and I thought, you know what, now we're going to send an email in. And we first started the email, but first of all, we're not sending this email because she failed. We are sending this email because this is what actually happened during the test. And she didn't feel it was a learning experience, what it should have been.
Yeah.
That she felt that she didn't know why she failed. Other than she could clearly see that she failed the reverse around the corner, but she knew that at the time.
But that wouldn't have happened if he did not shout at me.
Yeah.
I would have passed the driving test, not a bother. But it was the fact that he shouted at me and was being so aggressive.
Yeah.
There was no way I could have went on like that,
So we sent off this email anyway, basically stating that, the reason we were sending the email was not because she failed, but was because we didn't feel it was a very good learning experience, and that the tester was a bit aggressive. Aggressive. And we didn't kind of say very aggressive, and that she didn't feel comfortable. So I thought, Kelsey, they're going to ring you to ask you what happened, so you're going to need to tell them. So 2 days later, we got a reply back to say, that they'd spoken to the tester in question, and he strongly denied that ever happened. He didn't raise his voice at any stage, and that he was very, very upset that a complaint had gone in about him. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that tester has since been moved to Killarney.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Kelsey then was talking to people, and a lot of them had that tester as well.
And everyone has the same experience.
And everyone had the same experience with him.
Just in different situations.
Yeah, so this guy was getting away with it, and he's probably getting away with it out in Killarney now.
I'm sure he is.
But people are afraid to talk up, because when you fail your test, you feel that there's going to be a red flag around your name.
And then they'll fail you again.
Because you complained. But once you pass your test, lads, people need to come out and speak up, because it's ridiculous to carry on, because it's a money pit. And then when Kelsey went for her second test, she put in an email that she did not want this tester. So then they rang you.
And so she told me that I wouldn't have that tester, and I was like, okay, perfect. But then she told me that if my tester that I was supposed to have that day called in sick, I would have to have him. And I was like, well, I'm not going to sit my driving test if I have him. And he was like, well, that's up to you.
But we had paid the €80,
had
so
paid the €80.
so we would have lost that money.
Yeah.
Even
and I
though
would have to wait again.
And even though she specifically said she didn't feel comfortable
Yeah.
with this specific tester. So yeah, lads, it's an absolute shit show. It is, yeah. And your man is a see you next Tuesday. I was violent.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, I was violent because these are all young kids, lads, and they need to learn from their mistakes. So if they make a mistake, they need to be actually told, okay, well, in this instance, you didn't, you didn't stop quick enough or whatever. He gave her none of that.
Nothing, he just...
So we paid €80 for him to sit into the car, shout at her, and then get out and throw paperwork at her. And then we paid another €80 for the second test. But Jodie then, Jodie had a completely different experience. She had a great experience because, they were telling her, okay, what you've done wrong, whatever, and Jodie passed her test today.
Yeah.
So, there has to be somebody held accountable. Because I think, the way there's these small organisations and they get away with murders and they all watch each other's backs. But, I was violent over that. So now we can talk about it because we all have full licences now. God be with the days, lads, when I got into the car. You didn't have to go to the NDLS to get this permit. You just literally ordered your permit, got into the car, drove. You didn't even have to have a lesson. And then I was lucky that I went for my test and it was the week after that all this came in. All this money thing came in. But
she got a license.
Yeah, and I got my license the first time. But do you know what? There wasn't as many cars on the road back then. And there wasn't as many accidents either.
Yeah.
But these young kids need to be given a chance, But I just felt that instructor, from the minute he met her, had decided no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think as well, it's like I went off the driving test and I was like, I had confidence in myself, but I was also so anxious, so I was talking really quietly and the whole lot, and I speak up and stuff. Yeah,
and you identified the problem as well of and we'd also put that in the email that that when he started shouting at her, she should have pulled over the car in a safe place and said, sorry, can you speak clear and tell me what you actually want me to do? And but this was her first experience of this driving test.
No idea,
so she identified that, and we'd also put that in the email. But for the email to come back and say, yeah, we've spoken to the tester in question and he strongly denies that it ever happened. And that's the end of it. And I was like, what the fuck? So now, guys, any of you had a bad experience? Spam me.
Tell us.
Spam me.